Every time.
We never put it in, too.
I know. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome.
Sorry that we missed a couple of days.
It's been a wild ride.
It's been a while.
Do we even want to talk about it?
A lot of personal stuff happened in our personal life, but on top of that,
I got to go look up case files.
I got sick, and I
got sick, and then you got sick.
Yeah, Mythos got sick and then got me sick, but before that, I was dealing with like a lot of pain in my back, and so we had to like take a step back for a little bit. But we're back, and we're something. We are something.
I'm eating a cupcake.
Oh, by the way, we are recording this the week of the 4th. This does come out the 5th. So if you hear fireworks going in the background,
That's
I
why.
tried to cut them out as best I could.
Guess what month it is?
It's Mythos' birthday month.
It's my birthday month.
Happy birthday, baby.
Thanks, baby. I don't celebrate like my birthday the whole month because I think that's stupid. But because it's my birthday month, technically speaking, on a podcast, this month is going to be all fun stories for me.
Well, not necessarily. Well, for you, I'm just talking about stuff that I think you would be interested in.
Yeah.
And then you're talking about one of your hyperfixations right now.
Mhm.
I can't tell you which one because I don't fucking know.
Yeah, Psychos has no idea what I'm talking about next episode, which is amazing.
Which is scary, in my opinion. They just shoved a whole cupcake in their mouth. So give them a second. It is I.
The translator.
Yep. Okay. I don't know who's gonna go first, but I realized I didn't have my notes ready, so I went ahead and pulled up my notes.
I think I'm going first because my notes are rough.
Yeah, I have like a little over 3 pages of notes, but I'm doing like a bunch of shallow dives today because it's one of those lighthearted days because I like gave y'all some of the worst shit I could have ever done before.
I got red on my pochaco.
No, not Pachaku.
Pochaco, no.
Because it's not Pachaco.
So
It's Pachaku.
yeah, like a month ago, 2 months ago, we went to the H Mart down the street from us, and they had like a K-pop shop, and in there they had like knockoff like Hello Kitty stuff. And I've been really wanting a mat for my desk. So I bought one and I didn't like open it to look at it. And I'm not super big into Hello Kitty. Is Pochaco Hello Kitty?
Yeah, it's Sanrio.
Yeah, so I'm not super huge into Sanrio or like all like knowing all the characters and all that stuff. Like I do have like the Animal Crossing things, and like I loved Hello Kitty specifically when I was really young. It's a very special place in my heart. But I saw this Pochaco mat, and so I was like, oh, I'll buy it because it was really cute looking. And then like a week later I was staring at it and I'm like, this says Pochaku. It's 2 O's instead of 2 C's. So it says Pochaku and not Pochaco. So, but it's cute. So, you know, I like it. Anyway, how are you today, Psychos?
I'm.
Do you want to talk about what's been going on the last?
I don't want to get into it on
Can
air.
we even?
No, I don't.
It'll be a Patreon exclusive episode. Just a ramble. We need to do like a weekly or monthly ramble or something like that. We just talk about the crazy shit that goes on because oh my god, y'all, this last like 2 weeks
has been fucking insane.
Like I joke about it, but like literally like we've been struggling to like eat because it's just like this whole last like few weeks has been so hard to handle.
It's a very
crazy shit happened.
Crazy, and it's unfortunately very personal and very, very, very close to home.
And very traumatic.
Yeah,
I had to go down to the courthouse and get like papers. Like I had to actually go search up like criminal records. It was fucking crazy. I felt like a real detective.
But today it was very busy. They stole my blood at the doctor's.
They got their blood drawn for a test that they need for their job.
Yeah, one of my my job is just like, hey, can you get this test done? And I'm like, yeah. What does it what does it need? Oh, you need my blood? Oh no, thank you.
All of it apparently.
Fucking
because you couldn't even walk.
Okay, to be fair, I should have eaten before I went in.
Yeah, we're really bad about eating before
Yeah.
like 3 o'clock.
Yeah. So for like blood stuff, you do need to
Don't
eat
be
and
psychos.
drink before you go in. So there's that. And then I had a dentist appointment and I fucking hated it. But he was a lot nicer to me this time. Like last time I went in, he was very rude and I got
Judgmental.
judgmental and I got terrified. And then like today he actually like sat down with me and was like really kind and understanding and like walked me through certain things. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
He was probably just having a bad day. And that's not like
Probably.
an excuse, but like, I mean, dentists sometimes have bad days.
Yeah, everybody has bad days.
Everybody poops. Even the queen.
I just have a very
R.I.P. I guess not anymore. I think that's the second time I've made that joke.
oof. So I just have a very strong fear of the dentist, and I think I think they understood that coming in this time. So
Yeah.
but they were cool. They were chill. And then we went to the library,
We did.
and I got like a bunch of books about different things that I'm maybe going to start covering soon.
I accidentally tried to check out a reference book.
It's
I'm
okay.
very sad about it because it was a book about Mesopotamia, and I really wanted to read a book about Mesopotamia.
I'm
No,
sure
I
you can find it
can't.
somewhere.
I'll look into it.
That's my date.
Support your local library.
Support your local library, because you get a lot of shit for free,
Mm-hmm.
which is like really surprising.
Yeah, they were really cool. And like we have one closer to our house, but it's super tiny, like super, super tiny. I think that library is probably smaller than this room that we're in.
Yeah, it is very small.
But we were in the city just north of us for
My dentist
your
appointment.
dentist appointment, and I saw it on the way there, and then as we were driving back, Psychos was like, I kind of want to go to the library, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so glad you said that because I do too. And then we turned into the library.
No, because you were like, I had a very strong feeling like if
It was
you,
already breaking.
like I even if I didn't say anything, you were gonna turn into the library. But small fun fact: we are like sandwiched between two cities. Because I like a little town, like small town,
Mm-hmm.
and then two cities. We had to drive to the southern town this morning for my doctor's appointment, and then we had to drive to the northern city for my dentist appointment. So we burned a lot of gas, and I feel so bad.
It's okay.
But honestly,
Now that I have a new job where I don't have to drive 40 miles every day, like I think it's literally like got like 5 miles round trip for work instead of 40.
jeez,
I think it's about that. Let me look.
that's actually really good.
It's 14 miles round trip as opposed to 40 miles round trip.
Mhm.
So, given that my gas burning is not that bad. Like I used to have to fill up my tank like every 3 days when I would work, so I was spending like $140 $150 every 2 weeks on gas, and I think now I can get away with like $50 maybe on gas, which is really nice.
It's very nice.
So I'm not that worried about it. But yeah, my coworker, I sent you this, but my coworker, I told my coworkers I was going to mention them. So one of my coworkers, super super sweet, I love her. She gave me a bracelet. I don't know where I said it, but it says Chester on it. Because I really like the band Linkin Park, and I've been having the worst week ever, and I don't know how she knew that I needed it, but I came in yesterday and she's like, I have this for you, and she gave me it, and it's a candy bracelet, it says Chester on it. So love her for that. And then my other coworker, I don't know I want to give her a nickname so bad. I just call her Mama. She hates it though.
Why does she hate it?
Because she's very similar to me. She's very young-hearted, but she's like I think like 20 years older than me, something like that. But we're very similar people. So I call her Mama, and she's like, "Nah, I'm like young. I'm like young," and I'm like, "I know you are, but I call you Mama." Um, I've been
Mama.
keeping her up on all this fucking drama, and she loves it, and I adore her so much. I haven't seen her recently, and I'm so sad about it, but I told her to listen to the podcast. She also mentioned a case that she wanted me to look into, but specifically at the bottom of which I was like, ooh, called out. At the bottom of the information page, it specifically said, do not give this case to any YouTubers or like whatever, and it's because they're trying to keep it close to the chest. But I will say that it is a serial killer in Portland.
Ooh,
Which
interesting.
is crazy interesting. And the
I
only
mean, I
reason,
might just look into that for my own personal like curiosity, but
yeah.
like
Well, so she has friends, I guess, in it's like Oregon, right? Is where Portland is.
Mhm.
So she has friends there, and one of her friend's daughter was one of the victims.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
very, very close to home. So I took a photo of it and I was like, all right, like I'll look into it, but I'm not going to say anything or post anything about it until, it's whatever. But they haven't made any arrests. I think they have a suspect, but they're not like doing anything with it. But like multiple girls have been murdered. It's a serial killer situation. So that was terrifying. And then I have another coworker that I want to call out. He's a pain in my fucking ass, and I absolutely hate him. But I guess we're siblings now, and his name's Tristan. Call your ass out. I told him I'd mention him. I told him I would talk about how annoying he was. So, Tristan, if you're listening to this, you've been called out, sir. The ball is in your court.
Yeah, I don't have anybody to call out. I'm just here.
This is your job now. This is
Yeah.
your full-time job now. Not by choice, by force, but
Not really.
it's better than the situation that you were in with our last job. Things got really, really bad, really, really fast.
Yep.
Um,
But it's fine. I'm here now. And
Now you're my beautiful stay-at-home partner.
even though I'm not going to be stay at home for very
Not very
long,
long, yeah.
because I am clawing at the walls. Like, I'm an introvert, but I can't stay inside the house, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I need to, like,
You'll like go stir crazy. I'm the same way
yeah,
though.
I'll start twitching. Like, so who's gonna you're going first today, right?
I am going first, but I haven't gone first, I think, in a while, because usually my stories are not that bad compared to yours. But this time I think you're talking about a lot of lighthearted stuff, and I am not.
Yeah, I brought in some of the cases I'm gonna talk about today are pretty lighthearted. Some of them are like you kind of like hate humanity afterwards, but it's fine. It's a lot better than it's a lot better than what I have been forcing you guys to listen to.
I appreciate that.
And for that, I'm sorry. Except not really, because
You're like, absolutely fucking not.
like this is the world we live in. This is what we have to deal with on a daily basis. So, better to learn about it from somewhere than
Yeah.
than learn from experience.
Oh my god. Yeah. Okay, so I'm so sorry for anyone who thought that this episode was going to be easy to listen to from my end. But I'm talking about science because people actually seem to really like the science of that one episode that I did.
Yeah, the soap maker of Correggio episode. We got like a comment on it on
Yeah,
our
we got a
YouTube
comment on
channel
YouTube.
and we were like very happy. So like
We get no interaction from you guys, so I'm taking it as a positive that someone reached out and commented. I'm like, yes, finally.
we love
A
interactions.
response. So we have
Please.
so we have our videos up on YouTube. If you're nervous to comment on Instagram or whatever, we have our YouTube as well. And for some reason, I don't know why it uploads 2 videos. I think one video is the main YouTube video and the other one is the YouTube podcast or YouTube music one. So there's 2 videos uploaded for each episode. I don't know why, and I don't have the energy to go back and delete them, so you just got to live with it. But what the fuck did she just send us?
They look like skulls, but they could be owls.
I think those are skulls. If I can fucking type. I want a purple one.
Yeah, because purple's your favorite color.
It is my favorite color. Oh my goodness. Okay, anyway. Purple's my favorite color, but purple looks the best on Psychos. So I guess Psychos is my favorite color. Which is ironic because that's the one lyric of 21 Pilots that I fucking hate. My taste in music is your face or something. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
I don't know. I mean, this is to be fair, I did have a 21 Pilots phase back in like middle school and high school, but
Yeah,
like
that tracks.
uh, rude.
Okay. Yeah. So this episode, I'm talking about more science, and I'm talking about some very complicated science. However, I am going to be trying to explain it the best way that I can, so that it's not super crazy complicated for you guys. Yay!
I'm so upset the one prompt I requested was already taken.
No.
Oh well.
Homophobic, honestly.
I'll go look through it tonight.
Okay. Do you want to talk about what you're talking about?
So I am part of something called a Gotcha for Gaza, where people in different fandoms will do like a fundraiser where you get like a bunch of creators and then you get like a bunch of like writers and artists, and then you sign up as one of these creators, and then they open up donations. When people donate, they can request a prompt, like something for like somebody to fulfill. It's meant to be it's sort of like almost an exchange of goods, but the money is going directly to charity. It is not like a commission-based thing.
I know that the Magnus Archives fandom is doing one right now, or it just closed for it, but they were doing an art one that I really, really, really wanted to get in on. I just didn't have the money at the time to donate. Because I love commissioning artists. It's like my favorite thing to do. Like I'm in the middle of commissioning like 4 different people. But yeah, I hadn't heard about this one. Do you want to talk about what fandom you're doing it for? Because I'm judging you harshly for it. Because I don't want people to think that we're fucking normal.
Okay, so in our day-to-day lives, we are very big Daname people, which is essentially Chinese
BL.
boy love.
Yeah. We
And
have like I don't even want to think about how many thousands of dollars we have in books. Speaking of which, unrelated, the hardcover of
TGCF.
TGCF, God fucking help me, got pushed back a day, and Amazon was like, just so you know, your pre-order, we're so sorry. It got
Did
pushed
you
back a day.
pre-order that?
Did I not tell you that?
No.
Oh yeah, I pre-ordered 2 copies of
Oh my god.
TGCF hardcover.
You have to make sure that's on your card because
It's on my card.
Okay.
It's gonna be here in November.
Okay.
I mean, if it pulls from your card, I'll just send you the money. But yeah,
I mean, yeah,
I
like
pre-ordered it.
I mean, Thousand Albums Volume 5 is pulling in a couple days.
Did you order only one?
I ordered 2.
You ordered 2?
I think I ordered
me?
2. I think I ordered one for you, one for me. Let me see.
Because every time, so for those of you that don't know, whenever Seven Seas, who has way too much of my fucking money at this point,
They just need like a direct line to my bank account.
at this
I
point,
swear.
so Seven Seas, whenever they do like big book releases, the very last book tends to be like a deluxe version, so it'll have a bunch of stuff. So like for I think the first one that dropped was Scumville and Self-Saving System because it had the least amount of books.
Yeah,
And they
I
had
ordered
like
2.
oh god, where is it? I literally have it. It has like a postcard with
Has
all the covers on it. It has
yeah.
a sticker sheet. That one didn't come with a notebook,
No,
but it came with like a bookmark and some posters.
It was like a couple posters, a bookmark, some stickers, and the postcards.
Yeah, and then TGCF came with the paper standee and the booklet, and then MDZS Grandmaster Demonic Cultivation didn't have a standee, so it's like more things. And I think the next one after 1,000 Autumns is Arha, isn't it?
No, the next one after Thousand Autumns is I think. Well, no,
Guardian's Priest. Oh, but it's still under 7 Seas.
It's 7 Seas. Guardian just is either getting ready to drop or did drop Volume 3 because that only has 3 books.
Oh, see, I haven't read anything other than
MDs or
MXTX. Yeah. So for those of you that don't know what we're saying, the abbreviations we're saying is the abbreviations of the first letter of the Chinese titles. So MDZS, the English translation is Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. TGCF, the English versions is Heaven Official's Blessing.
Hey,
not
you got
Heaven's,
it.
Yeah, I had to think about it because I'm usually say Heaven's Official Blessing.
Yeah, everybody does. Like,
Heaven Official's Blessing. And then Scumvillains is just Scumvillains, but it's Scumvillain Self-Saving System or like SVSSS, something like that. Like I don't even know what the Chinese version
knows.
of the title
Nobody
is.
knows.
No one
Nobody
thinks about
knows.
it. But then, so those are written by the author whose abbreviation name is MXTX. And then there's a couple other ones that we have. I'm not going to look, but I'm going to try to remember all of them. So we have Stars of Chaos.
Yeah.
I don't know who that's by.
I don't remember who that's by.
Is it by Meat Bun?
No, Meat Bun didn't do Stars of Chaos.
I know there's Meat Bun. I know there's Priest. Those are the other 2 authors. So we have Stars of Chaos. We have Guardian's
Priest.
1,000 Autumns.
Yes, but that one's not Priest or Meat Bun.
What's the other one? There's another Remnants of Filth.
Remnants of Filth. That's Meat Bun.
That's Meat Bun. There's another one that we haven't bought yet. I don't know what it is, but
you have the Disabled Tyrant's Pet Fish.
I do have the Disabled Tyrant's Pet Fish.
I need to read it.
It's all really good. If you need a new fandom to get into it. And if you're a cosplayer,
yeah,
maybe you'll find us one day.
Maybe.
Ooh.
The Danmei sphere is very large. I mean, what we have is just what's been officially translated into English.
Yeah.
However, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other Danmei out there that aren't officially translated yet.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other publishing houses that, other than 7 Seas, that have translated different Danmeis. I'm looking into trying to get to the other
Yeah. It's the most
Danme.
accessible for us because of where we live and
Yep.
being able to like find it. And some of the translations aren't 100%.
Yeah,
Um
but it
we don't want to talk about the MDZS art book.
mm,
Apparently that was a fucking shit show and a
mm,
half.
I'm so upset by it.
But if you want to get into Danme, what you could do is do what I did, which I don't recommend doing, but the MDZS, the Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, has a live action adaptation called The Untamed. It's on Netflix. I like it. I was I knew nothing. So I also was just like, watch this. I was like, okay. And I thought the main character was a vampire because the first scene he's got fucking blood on his mouth. It's like, that's a vampire. I had no
No.
idea what was going on.
You're like, "That's the vampire."
However,
No.
I do want to mention that despite absolutely loving this fucking show and literally loving all of the characters in it, unfortunately, one of the main actors recently had a scandal where he was doing blackface in a movie. Wang Yibo, what are you doing? He plays La Mongji, which is the one of the love interest in the show.
Mhm.
One of the two main characters. So watch at your own discretion or watch the animation.
The animation,
Japan is releasing an anime. I don't know what the Chinese word for the animation is.
donghua.
Danhwa.
Donghua, the manhwa, which is
The book.
the manga or the comic, is currently getting an official release as well, but I think all of the chapters, including the uncensored ones, are online.
The uncensored ones are on Twitter, and I follow the artist, and I get jump scared with it every fucking day.
Yeah, you
Anyway,
call it jump scare.
that's your Twitter. That's just your fucking Twitter feed. Half of what you send me is NSFW shit. And I'm trying to open Twitter at work like a normal person. I can't.
That's your own problem. You shouldn't
Well,
be
because
opening
I'm
Twitter
either
at
seeing
work.
because either you're sending me NSFW stuff or I'm getting the fucking flesh thing from the Scum Villains fandom.
Scum Villains fandom is very
It's
small.
unhinged.
It's small, but it's unhinged, and it's
It's
basically
my favorite fandom though.
the skin thing is the equivalent of shooting off a couple rounds in an apartment complex to keep the rent
low.
down.
Yeah.
So you keep like all the
Scares away the weird people in the fandom. They're like, I don't know what the skin thing is and I don't want to be a part of it. And it's like, aha, the plan has worked.
that found you.
Anyway,
Get out.
how long have we ranted about this for? Too long? Okay, so like I said, today is a reference episode. So
For you, not for me.
for me,
But I do have a couple of reference episodes coming up. I think for like days where I just can't physically like handle like a whole case. I'll probably dive into like certain things. Like I might cover cremation at some point. I might cover like cyanide at another. I have like a lot of weird interests. I'm so sorry.
that's totally fine. Yeah, you've been on a poisoning kick and like a death kick recently.
I'm sorry. I hope you're not worried or anything.
No. Honestly, if you killed me, it'd be a fucking mercy at this point.
No, I can't do this without you, please.
Anyway. So today's a reference episode, and you know what sucks is one of my main like hyperfixations that I love, the science for it, I don't fucking understand. And that just drives me crazy. So this episode I'm talking about chemistry. Specifically, I'm talking about nuclear science, nuclear radiation, and the effects that it has on the body, like the human body. However, this is the one section of chemistry I fucking failed.
Oh no.
I got a B in chemistry, and it was because of this fucking subject, because I don't understand half-lives. I can't do the science behind it. Now, I understand it in principle, but the equations I couldn't get. Physics, I aced. I literally tested out of my astronomy and physics final, and then took the final anyway without studying for it, and still got the highest grade in the class. I'm a little smart.
Just a little bit.
But chemistry, I fucking failed chemistry. I hate chemistry. So, bear with me, okay? So, in the future, I'm going to be covering a lot of stories that involve nuclear radiation, nuclear power. So this episode's going to be your reference episode. So if you don't understand anything about nuclear radiation, nuclear power, what nuclear radiation does to the body, and how a nuclear power plant works, this is the episode to listen to. So in the future, when I start talking about this is what happened and blah, 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 if you don't know what I'm talking about, come back to this episode, or I'll reference this episode in future episodes and be like, this is the episode to go back and listen to. I'm also going to briefly touch on what happened with the Chernobyl reactor. I'm not talking about Chernobyl today. I'm talking about that next year, but I think it's a really good example of how a reactor works.
So what in the hell are you talking about this month? Because I thought Chernobyl was this month.
No, Chernobyl I'm doing next year on the anniversary of the reactor melting down.
Oh.
Today,
Okay.
I'm just talking about nuclear science. So this is going to be, like I said, dude, I literally just fucking explained this. This is the reference episode. So this month, I am not talking about Chernobyl.
See, I was under the impression that it was. So now I have no idea what the fuck you're actually talking about.
I've purposely kept hidden what I'm talking about from you because I know you're going to get really excited when I tell you, but it's not related to this.
Damn it. Okay.
I just wanted to talk about nuclear radiation, okay? So,
Damn it.
okay, so we're just going to go over some brief things. I'm trying to assume that people don't understand anything about science because I know there's people that literally just science is not something that they can process because I understand completely. So, I'm going to do my best to explain this the best way that I can. So, you know what an atom is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so an atom, for people who do not know, it's basically like the smallest, not speaking in like technical terms. Don't sit here and be like, well, actually, the smallest thing is quarks. Shut up. Okay, basic high school, middle school science, okay? The atom is the smallest thing. It makes up everything, right? So it's the building blocks, quote unquote, of like everything. So we're all made of atoms, right?
Mhm.
Now you have three main components to an atom. You have a proton, a neutron, and an electron. So what basically you have is you have a house. The house is the center of the atom, right? It's in the middle. And that's going to have your protons and your neutrons. They live together. Around the house, you've got a fence. And your fence has the electrons. Think like a cat running around a fence. You know how cats and squirrels like to run on fences, or raccoons if you're fucking me. Like
Okay.
when that happened, remember?
Oh yeah.
So,
That was terrifying.
so you've got your main building, which is your protons and your neutrons, and then you've got your fence with the raccoons running in big circles on the fence, and that's your electron, right? So it's electrons spin around the main body of the nucleus, right? Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
Okay. So, if you were to take a look at the periodic table, what you're going to see is you're going to see a couple different types of numbers on an element, but you're going to see a main number. It's going to be what number they are in the periodic table, right?
Mhm.
That number is how many protons there are in that house. That's going to tell you what kind of atom it is. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So, like, let me look at the periodic table. I'm trying so hard, guys, to make this as basic as possible because I don't want to scare anyone away. Can I make this bigger? Okay, so helium, right? Helium, or not helium. So helium is. I hate you so much. Helium is 2, right? On the
Yes.
periodic table, second one. So it's going to have 2 protons. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we go down to whatever fucking one I can read. Is that plutonium? I think that's plutonium. Bigger! I can't fucking read it. Why does all the periodic tables, I can't fucking read them. I just need a printout of them. Whatever.
You need like a giant poster of
I
it.
do. I used to have one. I left it at home. Okay, so gold, for example, it's 79 on the periodic table. So it's got 79
Little protons.
little protons, correct. Okay, so
I feel like I'm back in chemistry and I am finally remembering that I got like a C in chemistry. So like
you're going to do great. Okay, so think of protons as the name of it's the name tag, basically. It tells you it's so the protons is your social security number, right?
This two got a social security number of 1.
Yes. So, the proton is the social security number. It's the name tag. It's unique to that element. So the elements are all going to have the certain amount of protons. That's how you know which element is which, right?
Yeah.
Now, electrons, they are the raccoons running in circles, right? Now, it's not as simple as there being like one fence. Think of it like there's maybe like 4 fences. They're called shells, I think. And these guys aren't super important. Just know that they're out there, right? Now, the other thing that we got to worry about is neutrons. Neutrons live in the house with protons. They're just there. We don't really know why they matter, but if you have too many or too few, the house falls apart. There's no house. The nucleus falls apart. So, neutrons, typically I think there's a similar amount to protons. Don't quote me on that, but that's the rough idea. So those two things live inside the house, then you've got the raccoon on the fence, right? Okay. This is where it gets into the realm of shit that I don't fully understand, but we're here and I studied this for you. Next, we have isotopes. Okay. Don't freak out. Isotopes are just a number that explains if an atom has more or less neutrons than it should or usually has. So say you have an element that has usually should have like 13 neutrons, right?
Mhm.
But it actually has 14. So it's going to be that element and then whatever. And it's the isotope 14 or whatever. It's basically to say, hey, this has a different amount of neutrons than normal. That's all, right?
Okay.
Cool. So we have stable and unstable isotopes. So stable ones are, it has a weird amount of neutrons, but it's still cool. Nothing crazy going on. Unstable, it's got way too many or way too few, and it's fucking crazy. Losing its fucking mind. It doesn't have enough neutrons, and it's losing its fucking mind. That's unstable.
Okay.
Okay? Are you catching me so far?
Yes.
So if you have too many bitches in the house loses its mind.
Fair
But it
enough.
doesn't fall apart yet. If you have too few bitches in the house doesn't fall apart yet, but it's losing its fucking mind. Sometimes there's a range. You can have 5 or 6 people in the house and it's fine. That's a stable isotope, right? It's a stable house. Unstable house, too many bitches, too little bitches, right? No one wants too
Mhm.
little bitches, but no one wants too many bitches, right? Unstable isotope. Now, here's the thing. This is where we get into the nuclear part. So, radioactive decay. So, radioactive decay is when the house starts kicking out bitches.
My brain hurts. I don't like
I know,
chemistry.
it's a lot of science. I'm trying to make it as basic as I can. Okay. This is the most complicated that's going to get, okay?
Okay.
So, we've got a
Chemistry
house.
matters.
We've got a house,
Yes, we have
right?
the house.
Protons and neutrons.
Yes.
Okay. Neutrons are the bitches.
Yes.
Okay. So, unstable isotopes is when there's too many or too few bitches in the house.
Yes.
Okay. Radioactive decay is when you start kicking out bitches.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I said too many. I
This is
said the
why the
bad amount of
podcast is
case.
labeled explicit.
I said too many case.
KKK.
Yeah. I was like, ooh, that's not. Ooh.
We're saying bitches all. This episode 100% explicit. Okay.
Oh yeah, especially in my.
So,
Oh yeah.
it's radioactive decay is when it starts emitting energy to get rid of whatever to get the house stable again,
Okay.
right? So it
Mhm.
wants to be in its little comfortable zone. If there's too much going on, it's going to start doing that. Okay, radioactive decay is when it's emitting, or it's the like energy emission of trying to restabilize itself.
Got it.
Cool.
Cool.
Okay. There's technically two main types of reactions that you can have. So you're going to have fission and you're going to have fusion,
Dude, the
right?
two. Okay, I don't remember either of these, and
It's okay. I'm going to explain it.
I know that this is honestly what tripped me up so much whenever I was in.
It gets more complicated when we get into nuclear power plants, but
Oh god, damn it!
it's okay. That's okay. That's the whole point of this episode, is me to try to explain it in a way that makes sense. So you've got fission and you have fusion. Now you know what fusion is, right? When things combine.
Okay. Is
So
fission separated?
fission is the opposite.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So fusion is when you have two atoms that come together to make one. Fission is the opposite of fusion. It's when it splits apart. Now, fission is what you have in a lot of nuclear reactions. When it splits apart, you also have a little bit of energy being emitted. So whatever product you have from that fission, that's splitting apart into two different things, you're going to have a little bit of weight that's just vanished. It actually got turned into energy. That energy is what they're trying to harness in nuclear power plants,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So
How do they do that?
we'll get there.
Okay.
So whenever you have a atom that breaks down into other atoms, that product is going to be an unstable isotope. So it's going to be a house with too many or too little bitches, right? It's fucking crazy. Now, those products, those two elements, so you have one thing, it breaks away into two things, right? And you've got a little bit of energy coming out. Those two things also are doing radioactive decay because they're unstable. So unstable things kick out bitches.
Okay.
Constantly are kicking out bitches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay, that's really all you need to know right now.
Okay. Cool.
So, the main thing that is used in a nuclear power plant is an element called uranium. Now, I love uranium. I have a necklace with uranium glass in it. Psychos got it for me. I would love to collect it. Uranium is the
We
main
don't
element.
have the room for it.
I know. Uranium is the main element that is used in nuclear reactions. Now, there's a couple reasons for this, but I'm going to get into it in a minute. So, what the fuck is uranium, right?
What the fuck is uranium?
Uranium is a silvery, gray, or white metal. It is 92 protons and electrons, and it emits alpha particles when it decays. I'll tell you what alpha particles are in a minute. Just know it's an alpha.
Okay.
Its half-life is between 159,200 years or 4.5 billion years, depending on the isotopes, depending on how many neutrons it has.
Oh, that's not great.
It's not great. But this element is what's kind of used to date the age of like Earth. So there's that. So, what is a half-life? So the way that people kind of determine the half-life of an element, it means if you have 10 grams of something, so if you have 10 units of an element, a radioactive element, how long is it going to take for that element to decay into 5, right? So
Mhm.
how much is it going to take for whatever amount you have to be half
Mhm.
of what it was? That's a half-life. And that's how we measure radioactive stuff like that. So if you have 100 units of something, it's going to take of uranium. It's going to take 4.5 billion years for that 100 units to turn into 50 units, to break down into
Jeez.
50 units. So in the, to humans, basically, its half-life is forever because we will not live long enough. The human species, we were not going to live long enough to see any huge change in that sample, right?
Yeah.
So it's
How did
got
they
a
figure this out?
you take a sample and you just measure the small amounts that it does decay, and you can project that to how much it's going to be for 100%,
Oh, okay. I
basically.
just
So you take a sample of it and you just kind of monitor it and see, oh, it's breaking out down this very small amount a year. So if it breaks down this super minuscule amount in a year, then that's you can kind of blow that up to scale of how long would it take for this to be this. Does that make sense?
yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was just like really confused. I'm like, okay.
that that question, that equation is what I failed in physics. So me and half-lives don't get along. That's the one thing I never could do math-wise. So I'm gonna breeze past that because I don't want to talk about it.
You're like, no more. We're
No more.
done.
So now uranium is a naturally occurring isotope. Or it's a naturally occurring element. However, there's two main types of it. There's U-235 and U-238. So these are the isotopes. So one has more neutrons than the other,
Mm,
right?
okay.
So U-235 is the special one. This one is unique because when you hit it with a neutron, it splits. It's very unique in the way that it does it. And it splits down, and what happens is when it splits, it makes energy, but it also kicks out one bitch, right? This
Okay.
bitch flies around and hits other houses and causes them to break apart. It's a home wrecker, basically. So it kicks out a home wrecker. And these home wreckers will go to other houses and cause those to split and break down. And it causes a chain reaction. So if you get a bunch of atoms of U-235, you get a bunch of houses, a whole neighborhood of houses, and one of them gets hit with a home wrecker and it splits, you have now two smaller homes with a little bit of energy that came out and another home wrecker. And it hits other houses and it keeps causing it to break down and break down. And I think it's one of the only ones that can do this, or it's the more common one that can do this. I really don't exactly know, but I think it's the only one. But this is what it does. So it can it basically can cause itself to have a chain reaction and break down, right?
I
That's what's causing that energy. So instead of having to constantly hit it with new neutrons, you can basically just cause it to start reacting, and it's just going to keep making itself react and react and react, right?
okay. So it's like my mother, essentially.
Yes. So that's what that chain reaction is. You get it to start and it just keeps making itself go, right?
Yeah.
It's constantly burning itself up. So, here's what happens. The U-238, that's the more common version and it's stable. U-235 is not stable. It's an unstable isotope, which is how it's able to break down and be reactive, right?
Yeah.
So U-238 is the stable version. It's also the more common version. 99% of uranium that you're going to encounter is U-238, which is the stable one. U-235 is extremely rare, so we have to go make it ourselves.
Why would we want to make that ourselves?
Because if you have enough of it, you can create nuclear power.
Yet it's extremely unstable, so why would we want that?
because that unstable reaction is what gives us a shit ton of energy.
Uh,
So nuclear energy, technically speaking, is clean energy. It's just very hard to control. And I'll get into it when I talk about Chernobyl, but it was originally going to be our main source of power. But we had a couple different nuclear reactors melt down too close together, and it scared everyone out of nuclear power. But it's still being used to this day. Nuclear power is used, and it's very clean energy. It doesn't really have a lot of byproduct waste. The radioactive decay obviously sucks ass, but if you can manage to store it properly, it actually has way less environmental impact, and it also is way more powerful.
well, I mean, I
So
don't.
like you could run a whole country probably on a couple nuclear reactors, and it would be a way more energy output than anything that we're doing right now with coal.
I understand that.
It's also reusable.
Yeah,
Or not
that's
reusable, but
fair.
like renewable. It's not like, we can't run out of uranium. We can just make more.
That's fair. I just that kind of I understand why they were like, "Ooh, power plants melting down? No, thank you," because I'm currently in that same position right now.
Mm. I'll get into it at Chernobyl, but it actually wasn't the reactor's fault. It wasn't the nuclear power's fault. Do you want to know whose fault it was?
I mean, I know it's human
It was
error.
capitalism.
Ah, fucking course it was. We can blame
Yeah.
everything on
It was made
capitalism.
with cheap material, is the problem.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Why?
Technically speaking, the guys who were running the plant at that time did everything they were supposed to, but something was happening in the reactor that they didn't account for, and it caused it to melt down.
Mm,
I actually explained that at the end of the episode, or the end of my section. So if you enrich uranium 238, it turns into 235, and if we have more U-235, then we can get more power. Crazy. It's fissionable, which means it's able to be split apart if you hit it with a really fast neutron, but not too fast, just fast enough, right?
right.
It's also able to be transmutated, so turned into plutonium 239.
Hmm.
Now, if anyone who's listened to the podcast before, specifically our earlier episodes, might recognize the names uranium and plutonium because that was the two elements that was used in the Little Boy and Fat Man bombs that hit Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
God damn it.
So,
Back in the fucking building again.
no. So, just to give you an idea of this whole situation. So, and I'm going to go into how intense the reaction is later on, but to give you an idea of the more side, now that you kind of understand what happens in a bomb, so this fission, this separating of particles, it's what causes that intense reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the little boy had 64 kilograms of enriched uranium, which is extremely radioactive uranium. So it was 235 uranium, right?
Right.
Less than 1 kilogram went under fission. So less
Jeez.
than 1 kilogram of it actually had a nuclear reaction to it, right? And it caused that level of an explosion.
Yeah, because it wasn't it considered like a failure.
It was considered a failure because it didn't react all the way. So if that gives you an idea of how much this energy output is, imagine harnessing that energy and using that amount of energy to power a city. That's how intense nuclear reactions are. That's why they were harnessing it in these power plants. So that gives you a good idea of how powerful this stuff is. I also converted that into pounds for anyone who is like us and uses freedom units.
Freedom units,
It's
really?
141 pounds of uranium. Now, Fat Man was a plutonium bomb. And basically, what it did is it made the plutonium reach critical mass and then condensed all that energy down into a really tight space. And then it eventually got so much that the casing it was in couldn't handle it and exploded. That's what Fat Man was. It's also the same bomb that was used in the Trinity experiment or the Trinity bomb, whatever. They're the same thing. They're identical. Now, the Fat Man used plutonium, which is a fissible byproduct or fissible transmutated element that can come from uranium. So they're kind of cousins, but it's its own element. I think it's like 88 or something.
Okay.
It used 6.2 kilograms of plutonium, which is 14 pounds of plutonium, and only 20% of it reacted. And I think little boy did more damage. I think it was. One of them did more damage than the other one. It might have been Fat Man. So it's a different element, but more of it reacted. One of them wasn't as damaging as the others, but I think it was because of the terrain that it was on, wasn't it? One of them was more hilly.
I think so,
I think it
yeah.
was Nagasaki. I'm not 100% on that. But if you go back in this episode, you know the damage that was done to that area. People literally disintegrated that were like close enough to the bombs. So that's how intense that energy is. And the energy that was put out was heat. It's heat. It's energy, literally raw energy and heat. So this gives you, I think, a good idea probably of how intense nuclear reactions are, right?
I mean, I'm just thinking about, like, you're giving me this information, and all I can think about is why do we always immediately use these kinds of things to kill people? Why is our first reaction to,
Men.
oh, fucking hell.
Men.
Hate men.
I know.
Because, like, nobody in their right mind would look at this and be like, yes, this is something we can use against enemies in times of war.
Yeah.
But, like,
So it was originally mined in 1789, and it was found by, or it's credited to being discovered by Martin Henrik Klaproth, Klaproth,
tag yourself.
Claproth. Klaproth.
Hmm.
That's a weird last name. And he named it after the recently discovered planet Uranus. So that's a little history on uranium. I'm going to get more into it later on in a different episode. But for right now, that's basically all you need to know is that is the main thing you're going to have in nuclear reactors is uranium because it's just the easiest one to get our hands on, basically.
Yeah.
There's more radioactive ones. I think the most reactive one is not plutonium. It's like plutonium. I don't know what it is called. It's something. Polonium. So polonium, radium, plutonium. There's some others that are pretty radioactive. But that's kind of like uranium is the one you're going to run into the most often. Cool.
Cool.
All right, now we're getting into the complicated stuff.
It gets more complicated.
Now we're going to talk about nuclear reactors, and then I'm going to talk about what it does to the body.
Oh, fun. Let's see what I'm looking at. Okay.
That doesn't make any sense right now. Just bear with me, okay? So
It's
here's
something.
Here's what a nuclear reactor, a nuclear power plant is, okay? So the point of a nuclear power plant is to cause these chain reactions to happen and harness the energy that comes from them. Now, the way that this works is by controlling neutrons. If you can control neutrons, you control the reaction. You can control how many bitches are getting kicked out of the house, right?
Yeah.
So it's a bitch control center. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So the
It's
thing,
like the dude. It's like the bouncer at the club.
yes, a nuclear reactor is a bouncer at a club. Okay, here's the different parts of a nuclear reactor. So the basic way that a nuclear reactor works is you have a reaction that's happening. You have to have something that's cooling it down because it gets really hot. Because whenever there's a chemical reaction, it creates heat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have the reaction, you have something that's cooling it down to make sure it doesn't fucking explode.
Okay.
You also have the brakes and the gas. So what makes the reaction speed up and what makes the reaction slow down to be able to keep it within a safe range of don't blow up but don't fail. Because if you have a reactor fail, you can't bring it back, really. Like it's really hard to bring that reaction back from zero, right?
Yeah.
Now, the cool thing about a nuclear power plant is that it has what we would call like positive feedback loops. So there's things that are going on in the power plant that are basically making it to where the power plant can kind of run itself almost. The reactions can run itself. And there's a balance where humans have to get involved to make sure that, it doesn't get too hot or it doesn't, get too slow. You're getting the right amount of energy coming out of it. But it kind of the reactions that are going on in the reactor kind of balance themselves out on their own. Once you get it to the right point, it can kind of do whatever it needs to do correctly.
Okay.
So you've got a box, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in this box, it's a metal box. You have the reaction going on. So you've got this metal, right? This uranium. And it's reacting. It's breaking down whatever and you're absorbing the heat that comes from it, right?
Yeah.
The energy that comes from it. Now, in this box, this reactor. I gotta pull up a photo of it because it's really hard for me to explain without looking at it.
That's not the picture that you sent, right?
No, I'm gonna pull up one. Basically just means that it's a type of reactor that used graphite and water to run the reaction.
Hmm.
That's the basics of it. Okay, so here's what you have. So you have this. I'm gonna send this photo to you to give you a visual of what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm sending you a photo. So
Okay.
here's what happens. So you have the box on the left, right?
Sorry.
What are you dropping shit for?
Okay. So box on the right.
Okay. So for anyone that doesn't know, you can look at our page on our Instagram for these photos, but I'm just going to try to explain it the best way I can, and you can just I'll explain it, and then you'll just have the reference photo.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the box on the left, right?
Yeah.
So that's where your reaction is happening. So in that box is going to be the chain reaction that's happening. So you've got the bitches running around and they're knocking around other houses and other bitches, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening in there. So you've got a bunch of these bitches bouncing off things, bouncing into other houses. Those are what we're trying to control. So when we talk about gas and brakes, what we're really referring to in absorber and moderators is what it's called, is the speed and the efficiency of the bitches running around, right? So we have to control the bitches. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When the bitches, I'm just going to call them bitches from now on because I think it makes more sense. When the bitches are running around and they're breaking up houses, the energy that's spent by them running around, that's the energy that we're absorbing. As they're running around, they heat up. You know, when you run and you get warm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is they bring water in to cool that down. And then that water, when it heats up, it'll eventually turn into steam and it'll evaporate. And then it'll take it out of the plant, and that's going to be part of the energy that's absorbed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's a water kind of based system,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also harnessing the reaction of those bitches running around. And that's a powerful fucking energy. Homewreckers got some powerful energy. Bad energy, don't be a homewrecker, but good energy in a nuclear reactor. So throw all your homewreckers in a nuclear reactor. That's merch right there.
Okay. They're all
Okay.
homeworkers in the nuclear reactor.
Throw your homewreckers in a nuclear reactor. Okay. So this is where it gets a little hard to explain because it's very counterintuitive. So I'm just going to refer to it as gas and brakes. Okay.
Okay.
So you have your gas. This is going to make so gas and brakes, I'm referring to a car. Your gas and your brakes are going to speed up or give you more power or slow down and give you less power in the reactor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your gas, specifically in reference, I'm going to talk from now on about the Chernobyl reactor because it's going to be the most important thing. This is where I'm going to dip into Chernobyl a little bit.
Okay.
In Chernobyl, the gas that speeds up the reaction is these graphite, quote unquote, graphite tipped rods. Okay. That's going to be your accelerator in this reaction, right?
Yeah.
So so the reason why they're called moderators is because if the bitches are running too fast, they'll just bounce off the house.
Tag yourself.
So the moderators, what they do is they actually slow down the bitches enough to actually hit the house.
Me too.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So so in order to make more energy, you have to moderate the bitches. You got to slow them down and get them a little more organized. If you take those graphite tips out and put the brakes on, basically, then what you're doing is you're going to speed those bitches up and they're just going to start bouncing off houses again. So you got to get the bitches organized, right? That's what the graphite tips does. It gets the bitches organized, gets the reaction going more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now the brakes. The brakes is what's going to speed the bitches back up. So it's going to actually slow down the reaction. You're going to have less houses falling apart because they're not getting into the house or just bouncing off of them. The brakes is the water that's being brought in to cool them down, right? Kind
Mhm.
of. So what it does is the water absorbs in the Chernobyl reactor specifically, the water, it was regular water. It absorbs the neutrons. So it's absorbing the bitches. There's less bitches running around, right?
Right.
So that means less houses are going to get hit, right? So those are the two things. So the water is the brakes and the graphite is the gas. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. So in a normal reactor, what you would actually have is the water would be a moderator if it's enriched water. But they didn't use enriched water because it was too expensive. They didn't want mineral water. They wanted basic ass water, basic bitch water. So they
Yeah.
got basic bitch water. But it wasn't a moderator now. It was the brakes. So it wasn't a gas, it was a brake. Does that make sense? So
Makes sense, yeah.
they were supposed to be using gas water. They used brake water. Okay. Now, if you watch the Chernobyl documentary or the HBO series, and a lot of this information I got from Hank Green, I will list the video that I got this from because he explains it way better than I am. I'm trying to make it basic information. So basically, what happens is if the reaction's going too much shit's happening in there, and it's too much energy output, they're going to slow it down by putting on the brakes, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at the photo that I sent you first, that red part on the top, that's the brakes, right?
Yeah.
But you'll notice in the photo, it's not in the fuel right now. So in the photo, I'll post these on Instagram. So you have the box, and you have the brakes, and you have the gas. The gas is the green, the brakes is the red, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is if it's too much, you put on the brakes. If it's too little, you put on the gas, and you kind of get it in this equal balance, right?
Yeah.
So here's what went wrong. So, because this is the best way to explain nuclear reaction, a nuclear reactor is to explain how it went wrong so that you understand what should have happened, right?
Mhm.
So what happened is they were doing so the power plant was running like normal, right? And they went to go do a test, which happens pretty often, just a routine test. Now what happened is that fuel had a buildup of a different element that breaks down farther down that chain, so you get enough houses that split up and they go from uranium houses to xenon houses. So shit breaks down, you get xenon houses. They're like apartments. You get a xenon apartment, right?
Nice.
So you go from uranium houses, a bunch of home wreckers get involved in the houses, and you get xenon apartments.
Okay.
There's a shit ton of xenon apartments in here, which isn't not supposed to happen. It's supposed to happen, but they didn't know that there was that many apartments in there. There was too many apartments in the neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
So
So
here's what happened. They go to do this routine test, and what happens is they accidentally kind of slowed down the reactor too much, right?
Mhm.
It was dropping to a too low level of energy, right? The water was boiling, so it was evaporating away. So you weren't getting so while they were doing this test, the energy was dropping, the water was disappearing. So the brakes was disappearing. Water's the brakes, right? It's vanishing. So you're losing brakes. The xenon, the apartments also absorb bitches. They absorb homewreckers. But because the water's disappearing, all of the xenon, all the apartments are absorbing all the bitches. And now the apartments are full. So there's nowhere for these bitches to go.
Uh-oh.
Right?
Uh-oh.
So you have too many homewreckers running around with no water to absorb bitches at all and no apartments for them to go into. So the energy is getting too low. But by the time that they realized that, what they did is they actually took the control rods, these like the gas and the brakes, they took them out,
Okay.
right?
Why?
So what they're supposed to do in that case, that's part of the test.
Okay.
But the problem is they took them all out at the same time.
No, okay.
So they pulled both gas and brakes. They said, go crazy. And the home record said, there's nowhere for us to go.
So they're gonna go crazy, go stupid.
So they're going crazy, go stupid. Here's the problem. So if you watch the documentary, it mentions that there's graphite tipped rods. Now the rods are the brakes, right?
Mhm.
But the tips are the gas. No, what it actually is there's a big long, this is the best way to explain it, and this is the photo you're looking at right now. There's a big long rod, right?
Mhm.
There's two sections on each rod.
Mhm.
Now, in the tube where the rods go, there's also water. That's important to know. But
Mhm.
there's no fucking water, right?
Mhm.
So you have these rods, and you've got the brakes on one end and the gas on the other end. Now, the problem is they only go one direction, up and down, right?
Oh shit. Okay.
So if you take all the rods out, if you take the rods up, right? So the brakes are in the fuel. You pull them up. On the other end is the gas. So you're pulling the brakes out of the reactor and you're pulling the brakes out and putting the gas on, right?
Yeah.
So then they pull out the gas too, right? So now the reactor has no brakes, none. The xenon's gone, the water's gone, all the brakes are gone, apartments are full, there's no water. So there's just bitches everywhere, right?
Mhm.
What they probably should have done was slowly put down different rods, but instead they put all of the rods back in at the same time,
Oh, no.
which is technically what you're supposed to do, but they didn't know the apartments were full and the water was gone. So when they put the rods back in, it went in gas first because you
No.
can't flip them. So they put all the gas
No.
back into the fuel. And then this is another thing that's really hard to explain, but I'm going to do my best to explain it, okay? So here's the other part of this is the okay.
Okay.
There's this thing called neutron flux. And basically what it is you have to have an even amount of bitches running around the reactor. In the top and bottom, all the different areas, you need the same amount of bitches, right?
Yeah.
Because then you have the same amount of heat all over the reactor, right? If you have one area that's hotter than another area, kind of like with glass, it explodes, right?
Yeah.
But here's the problem. When they put the rods back in, they put the gas back in, it displaced the water. And so you had the rods going all the way in, and all of the energy, all the bitches were shoved to the bottom of the reactor, right?
Oh, no.
Now the reactor can't handle that many bitches in one area. So you've got no bitches for like the top half of the reactor, and then the very bottom sliver of the reactor, you got a shit ton of bitches. Where are the bitches gonna go? Out. It exploded.
Oh, jeez.
Does this make sense? Am I making sense? I hope I'm making sense.
You're making somewhat sense. Oh my god.
So they set these bitches to run. They went to go do a test to make sure everything was running properly, but they didn't realize that there were no brakes in the bitches. For the bitches, the bitches had no brakes. And then when they went to go try to put the brakes on, they put the gas in first.
Fuck.
Right? It's like trying to test a fire and then realizing that the fire's getting too low. So then you shove a bunch of gasoline on it before you can get water onto it. Basically is what they did. So the problem is you've got this intense amount of energy in the bottom. You've also got a shit ton of water that's now turned to steam that has a lot of pressure built up in the bottom of this reactor. And you've got something going wrong. Something breaks and the control rods get stuck on gas mode. They can't put the brakes in.
So it's like somebody's constantly just dumping gasoline onto a fire
yes,
over and over.
Yes, absolutely. So in they're trying to get the water onto the fire, but they can't because it's stuck on gasoline mode.
Yeah.
So you've got this fuel, all these bitches, and then you rile them up. You tell them some hot goss, and it's just nonstop goss, right?
Yeah.
They can't put the brakes in. So they've got all of this energy building up, all this steam building up, and now it's stuck on go mode. So it just keeps reacting and reacting, and the top of the fucking reactor explodes off the building.
Jesus Christ.
Right? But
Yeah.
also, now that you know that uranium is metal, it makes more sense as to how the elephant's foot was created because it heated up so much that it melted through the bottom of the reactor and into the basement. Because uranium, when heated up, can melt through pretty much anything.
Like, the only thing I can think of right now is that one game that Markiplier played where he ran directly into the elephant's foot.
Yep, exactly. So he was like, "Oh my god, what is this?" And I'm like, "Mark."
And then he's done.
That's basically what happened. They had a nuclear reactor. They didn't realize that they ran out of brakes, and then in order to put the brakes on, they had to put the gas on first. But then the gas got stuck. Right? So they got a car. They can't put on the brakes. The gas pedal gets stuck, and the engine just runs away. Basically.
Yeah.
So that's what happens. So that, I think, gives people a good idea of how precarious it is with nuclear reactors and how intense that is. Now, we're getting back to easy stuff, I promise.
Are you sure?
Yes. So, what is radiation? The kind of radiation we're worried about, right?
What is radiation?
What is radiation? So, the radiation that we're concerned about is ionizing radiation. Now, just bear with me for a second, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Ionizing radiation is extremely high energy radiation that hits an atom, and the energy is absorbed by the atom, and it causes one of the raccoons to fly off the fence.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When a raccoon gets flown off of a fence, it's called an ion. they're raccoonless. Ion equals raccoonless, right?
'Kay.
Or less raccoons. So ionizing radiation is when radiation causes houses to lose its raccoons, right?
Right.
So there's 3 main types of radiation that you're gonna hear. So we've gotten the nuclear reaction out of the way, so you know what happens. So that runaway reactor, all those bitches, the energy they were putting out is an alpha particle, an alpha
Mm.
wave. This is that type of radiation. So there's 3 types of radiation. One of them is Well, there's 3 types of ionizing radiation. One of them is alpha. So the energy that the bitches are putting out, it's ionizing radiation. So that energy that they're creating kicks out raccoons,
Got it.
right? So
No more raccoons.
no more or less raccoons. Now, you know what electrons are because I went over it in that last episode, the St. Elmo's fire.
Mhm.
Electricity is the movement of electrons.
Okay, yeah.
So when you have electricity that jumps around, so when raccoons jump on different fences, the energy that's released is what causes colors to happen.
Mhm.
So radiation technically is just the emission of energy. So like my screen right now is energy. It's radiating energy. A radiator radiates heat, right?
Mhm.
My screen is radiating light. My body is radiating heat. It's just when something emits an energy, visible or non-visible, right?
Right.
Ionizing radiation was the energy that kicks off raccoons. Okay, so we're there. There's 3 main types of energy. So uranium emits alpha particles or alpha radiation.
Mhm.
Now, this isn't the worst thing in the world, because it's alpha radiation is protons and neutrons. Can't penetrate the body, super slow moving, right?
Right.
Now, the issue, uranium on its own is going to emit alpha radiation, right?
Right.
So because it's got bitches running around, right?
Right.
So bitches can't penetrate your body. They're too fat.
Okay.
Sorry. They move too slow and they are too big to get inside of your body, right?
Okay.
So alpha particles, they hit you all the time and they just kind of like bounce off of you, right? Now, beta particles, they move faster and they're also electrons. Now, those can penetrate your body, but they can't penetrate anything denser, like clothing and like tissue paper, I think, or maybe that's alpha, but they can't really penetrate anything denser than like your skin, pretty much.
Mm.
So you're pretty much good from that. Now, gamma. This is where we have issues. Gamma is the type of radiation that we are concerned with. The reason why is because it's pure energy, no particle. It's
Okay.
just the energy. No bitches, no raccoons, no houses, just energy. Because it's just energy, it can move through your skin and it's small enough that it can actually pass between your cells and hit your DNA directly. But it can't move through lead, which is why if you ever go get an x-ray done at the dentist or you get an x-ray done at like the doctor's office, wherever they don't want you to have an x-ray done, they put that big, cold, like metal jacket over you. That's lead. And it's to stop the particles from getting through your body, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
X-rays are similar to gamma rays, they're just less energy. So they're
Mhm.
less damaging. Now that's why you can only have a certain amount of x-rays, or like if you have a shit ton of x-rays over a short amount of time, that's going to cause issues with like your body. It's because it's similar to gamma, but not that bad.
Yeah, it's why like whenever you have the radiation tech, like you're only getting like one X-ray done, but they're doing these things like all day, every day, so they have to like run to like Timbuktu to take the thing because then it's safer for them.
Yeah. So that's why you're going to have doctors be behind those screens or standing away back or out of the way. It's because it's safer for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Radiation is the energy that's being put out, right?
Right.
So it's just the energy. So the radiation dosage of how much someone gets is going to be measured in SV. Now, 1 SV can cause radiation sickness and 10 SV can kill you.
Jeez. Okay.
But we don't tend to encounter SVs because it's so rare for us to be that close to that much radiation. So it's measured in millisvs, MSVs,
Mm-hmm.
which is significantly smaller, right? To give you an idea, a chest x-ray is going to be 6.8 MSV. The background radiation of just Earth in general is 2.4 MSV. So we're exposed to radiation all the time, but it doesn't kill us. But, it's not, whatever. So 1 SV can kill you, or 1 SV can make you sick, 10 SV can kill you. We're constantly exposed to 2.4 MSV. So
Okay.
like a super, 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 super tiny amount of SV, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens to the body when you absorb gamma radiation, right? Now, gamma radiation is the one that's going to cause all the sicknesses. That's the problem when you have reactors that explode. That energy that's being put out, it's gamma radiation. So uranium, when it decays, it releases neutrons. So that's the alpha. But the pure energy that's created from a plant, if it explodes and releases out into the public, that's gamma radiation. It's just pure energy, right? You can't stop it, right?
Right.
Or if a reactor explodes, it's going to blast out fuel. It's going to blast out that raw uranium. So you're going to have radioactive whatever inside of you anyway. So,
Mhm.
what happens to the body if you happen to be exposed to radiation? So, when the body absorbs radiation, the main issue that happens is that it fucks with our DNA. So, DNA is the manual on how to make more cells, which make up our body.
Mhm.
So it's our cheat code, not our cheat code, but it's literally like it's our how to this, because the cells need a constant reminder of how to do this. So they're all given copies of this manual. Well, radiation goes in and starts taking out pages, scribbling shit, changing shit, writing it, whatever, rewriting it, right?
Mhm.
So then when a cell goes to make more, the DNA's fucked up. So it tries to fix it. But on every single level, humans are imperfect, including our DNA. So when they go to fix it, they make mistakes. The more mistakes it tries to fix, the more likely it's going to make mistakes. If it has a perfect how to guide, there's a small margin of error. Those are mutations. But if you have to repair the DNA, it's not going to remember exactly what it was. It's going to make mistakes. There's going to be margins of error. It's going to write the wrong thing. It's going to swap out a word here. It's going to put a bullet point here when there shouldn't have been one. And those cause mutations, which can cause issues, right?
Mhm.
Depending on where the mutation is. That mutation, cancer, for example, right? Cancer is a mutation where the cells are not given the stop code. They're not told to stop reproducing. That's the issue with cancer. The radiation or the DNA or whatever, the radiation takes away the you no longer have to keep working on this step of the manual. So it keeps making more cells. That's what cancer is. It's literally that's why it spreads like cancer, quote unquote. It's
Yeah.
the cells don't know to stop making more cells. That's why it's so dangerous. Because when you get cancer, so say you have liver cancer, what that means is that some part of your liver didn't stop making more liver cells. So if you have liver cancer that's spread to your I don't know, intestines or something, that means that your body's trying to grow a liver on your intestines.
That's not great.
That's why in the Magnus Archives fandom, when people say that Jerry had brain cancer and they start drawing eyes in his brain, the idea is that
Mm.
he had cancer of the eye that spread to his brain. Fun facts. So cancer is when your body starts making organs in the wrong spot, basically. So it starts making livers everywhere. But they're not functional. They're just lumps of liver cells. So you can't do anything because the manual's fucked up. Keep your manuals. Anyway, so
Always keep your
always
manuals.
keep your manuals. So radiation causes issues in this manual, or it just takes away parts of the manual, or it just destroys the manual, right?
Yeah.
So then your body doesn't know how to make things properly. It tries to fix it, but then it keeps making mistakes when it tries to fix it. And those mutations are what kill you. So the main thing that you're going to hear when people have radiation issues is radiation sickness or radiation poisoning. It's called acute radiation syndrome, ARS. What it is, it's actually a bunch of different syndromes, a bunch of different illnesses that happen at the same time because you've been exposed to ionizing radiation, because you were exposed to bitches who take away raccoons. So you're raccoonless now, and this is what happens to you. So SV is the amount of energy that something radiates out. Grays GYs is the amount of energy your body absorbs or an item absorbs. Cool?
Mhm.
Because you don't always absorb all the energy that's put out by something. So, grays is how much radiation, how much energy you absorb or an object absorbs based off of kilogram per weight. So, it's a ratio. A chest x-ray, you get 0.0001 grays. Super tiny amount, right? A CT scan gives you 0.01 grays. So, you absorb very small amounts, right? Okay, here's the fucking problem.
Oh, no.
So, let's say that you absorb 6 grays, 7 grays, a shit ton of grays, right? Now, this is the not so fun part of the episode for me.
Oh, okay, cool.
This is what happens to your body if you get exposed to radiation. So let's say I go hug the elephant's foot.
Don't go hug the
I
elephant's
might.
foot. Don't.
But let's
don't.
say I think about it. Let's say I walk into the room and then I go, and then I leave, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. How much energy does it put out?
That's a great question. You're asking the wrong bitch.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
80 to 100 grays per hour.
Okay.
So to give you an idea, you'll die within an hour if you get 10 grays or higher.
Oh, okay, cool. Love that for me, I guess.
1.5 to 2 grays will not be lethal in a short amount of time. So yeah, it looks like 5 grays or higher. Four grays or higher will kill you. And the elephant's foot puts out 80 to 100 an hour. So let's say I think about hugging the elephant's foot and just the thought gives me 10 grays of radiation.
You're gonna fucking die.
Okay, so I have thought about hugging the elephant's foot. I have decided to do this. I hug the elephant's foot and I leave. And I have been given 20 grays of radiation.
You're gonna be
I'm dead.
Yeah, you're gonna be dead within the hour.
But here's what happens. Okay, so when you're exposed to radiation, say you get 5 grays, right?
Yeah.
So you may not show symptoms for the first few minutes to hours of being exposed.
Really?
Yes.
I thought it was like pretty quick.
The reason why is because the mutations have to have time to start existing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't immediately be burned. If you hug the elephant's foot, it's hot, so yeah, you'd be burned. But like, it's the heat and the energy will burn you. But if you're just exposed to radiation without the intense heat or anything like that, then this is what happens to your body, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to enter the prodromal stage. Prodromal stage. You're going to enter the prodromal stage, right?
Okay.
This is the first stage. After you're exposed, you're going to start feeling nauseous. You're going to start vomiting. You're going to have diarrhea. We're not really sure why this happens. The theory is that the radiation might activate cells in the gastrointestinal tract that release the chemical that tells your brain to vomit, basically. This is the same thing that happens after chemotherapy.
Okay.
So, people have chemotherapy and afterwards they feel like shit and they feel sick. They're in this stage. The next stage is the latent stage. This stage, after the nauseous stage, people start to feel better. But unfortunately, this is actually where the worst thing starts happening and your cells start dying because they can't split anymore. They can't divide. So this stage, and I think all these stages are very dependent on what dosage of radiation you got and where the radiation happened.
Mm-hmm.
So the damage tend to show up sooner in the intestines, your skin, and your bone marrow because these places have cells that divide the most often. So you're going to start seeing mistakes here first because it's the first place and the most often where you're going to have to use that manual more and more and more. So the higher the dose of radiation you get, the shorter amount of time you're going to start seeing these damages occur. So you're going to see the damages faster if you get a higher dose of radiation shocker. Now, something that's important to know in this stage, you can't get radiation sickness from someone, but like if you have radiation sickness and you're clean, you're not radiating energy, I can hug you and I won't get radiation poisoning. But,
That you know of.
well, the thing is if you are exposed to radiational or radioactive material and that radioactive material is still on you, I could get radiation sickness from the radioactive material that's still on you if I hug you or get near you. So if you've been changed and cleaned, you're no longer a danger. I can be near you.
Oh, okay.
You're just, dying.
Bleh.
The other problem is that if you were to breathe in this radioactive material, it's still having a nuclear reaction, still doing radioactive decay. It's still trying to kick out bitches because it's still unstable, right?
Yeah.
So it's still giving off radiation inside your body. It's still decaying inside your body, right? Just the chemicals are, or the element is, right? So you're still getting actively dosed with radiation if you breathe it in because it's stuck in your body now.
Mhm.
It's gonna stay there, by the way, until it fully decays. So you can't really take it out. Yikes. Now why is this a problem? So on your skin, or sorry, in your bones. So if you didn't know, I'm so sorry to tell you this. Your bones are not solid. Your bones, the outside are fine, but the inside is squishy and sponge-like, right? That's your
Mhm.
bone marrow. It's got a whole like vascular system with like blood vessels and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
And it's where very important parts of your immune system come from. Now, the stem cells that are found in bone marrow, and this will be very interesting for you in particular, you might figure out why in a minute. The stem cells that are made in your bone marrow are the ones that make white blood cells, which are what make your immune system work. If you have nuclear radiation damage or any kind of radiation damage to your bone marrow, it's going to start killing off those stem cells, which are not going to let your immune system function properly. Sound familiar?
Hmm.
So it's a bone marrow issue, right?
Yeah.
Which means I think if you eat more bone broth, you'll be okay.
That's not how that works, baby.
You don't
Because
know.
it's not that my immune system isn't working properly. It's working as it's intended to. It's just overworking. It's attacking the wrong things.
Mood.
So it's doing its job just at the wrong thing.
Fair enough. Now the other issue is that if you have damage to the connective tissues that connect your bones together, what it's going to do is it's going to actually cut off the bone marrow's blood supply, and that's going to cause the cells in your bone marrow to die even after the radiation has already passed. The damage has been done to the connective tissues. So your bones are going to become weak. You're going to lose your immune system. That's why
Mm,
anyone with a connective tissue disorder, it's technically an autoimmune disorder because your bones can't make your fucking immune system work.
yeah.
So, the last stage is the manifest illness stage. Wonder what this does. This lasts a few hours or months depending on the again, depending on the person. So this is where you're going to have a few different symptoms going on. So you're going to have one that causes the skin. It's cutaneous, I think, radiation syndrome. That's the one that affects your skin. So that's you're going to get red, itchy skin, really dry and blistery, right?
Yeah.
One of my dwellers has been out in the wasteland for quite a while. I should definitely check on them. I will not.
Careful, he might have radiation poisoning.
He probably does. There's another one called hematopoietic radiation syndrome. These are really hard words for me. And this is the one where you get issues with the bone marrow. It's going to cause internal bleeding, a drop of blood cell count, white blood cell count. It's also going to cause anemia. So this is where your smaller doses are going to really start affecting your bone marrow. This is going to cause a honeycombing effect in your bones, and this is what happened to the radium girls, by the way.
Mm.
Is they had this bone marrow issue. So the worst kind, in my opinion, we're getting into the bad stuff. So gastrointestinal radiation syndrome is what happens when you get exposed to over 10 grays. You're going to have severe diarrhea, vomiting, and you're not going to be able to absorb any nutrients from food. Your intestines basically just stop working. So you're going to kind of starve to death.
Yikes.
Now, neurovascular radiation syndrome is what happens when you're exposed to more than 50 grays of radiation, and you basically speed run all of the last stages and then like die.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
This is when the radiation is so intense that it actually starts damaging your central nervous and your cardiovascular system, so your breathing and your blood. and it causes you to have convulsions, go into a coma, or just fucking die. So it's literally like nerve damage. Now, in lower doses, you can survive radiation poisoning if you get treatment very quickly. We're going to mention this later when I talk about the Chernobyl incident, but there is a thing where when people are exposed to radiation, they're told to take a thing called an iodine pill. Now, the issue is this doesn't actually help. So, if you think you've been exposed to radiation poisoning, you should take iodine pills, but they're not going to prevent ARS. They're not going to prevent the syndrome. What it actually does is it causes okay, iodine pills are there to protect your thyroid only. And it's kind of a weird way of doing it. So your thyroid is very important, I've discovered. It sits in your neck. It's an H-shaped organ. It sits in your neck and it like controls like everything in your body. It's very important, right?
Yeah.
Now, your thyroid absorbs iodine, and that's how it kind of turns it into important shit that you need. Now, the iodine pills contain a stable form of iodine called potassium iodide. The idea is that the thyroid, if you take these iodine pills, it'll actually absorb the iodine from the pills before it absorbs the iodine from the nuclear reactor.
Mm.
Because the iodine that's made by the nuclear reactor is iodine 131, which is not good for you. But these pills only help your thyroid. They don't actually prevent anything, nor do they absorb anything. I think there was also a mention that they were told to take charcoal pills or some kind of pill that was supposed to absorb radiation. It might be this, but it's a total lie if they did say that. The idea is basically just give it this iodine before it takes the bad iodine. Is pretty much what it is. So that's those pills. Now, what you could be given instead is something called radiogardis or DTPA, and that is a thing. And what it does is it goes into your body and it actually surrounds and and binds to the radioactive metals inside of your body to prevent your body from being able to absorb those into its cells.
I
So that's pretty much all you got, though. You just kind of have to wait it out and pray that you live.
I love that.
Um, So, yeah, on top of that, though, the main issue that you're going to see, especially when we get into the Chernobyl thing, is what's going to happen is people are going to start becoming kind of radioactive because they're just caked in this material. But a lot of what you'll see is people like burned, and it's not because of the radiation per se, it's the intense amount of heat. There was actually a guy, and I remember reading about it too, who looked into the reactor. He was up on one of the top floors. He looked into the reactor, and when he turned around, his face was red because of the heat and the energy that was being emitted. It wasn't
Jeez.
the radiation sickness immediately kicking in, it was the level of energy and heat, because energy is heat, that hit his skin. And his skin is doing what it was supposed to do, was protecting him. But in the process, it was so much radiation that it basically sunburned him. But instead of the sun, which works on fusion, by the way, it's fission. Now, fission's way easier to do than fusion, which is why we don't have fusion nuclear reactors. The sun does fusion. I talked about this like 2 episodes ago. But fission is what we can do here on Earth. So that's why we have it. And uranium is the easiest one to do it with, because I think it's one of the only ones that can cause that chain reaction to happen. We don't have to keep making it happen. That is my episode.
Jesus Christ.
I'm
Okay.
so sorry. I literally talked for so long. I feel like we've been sitting here for like 3 hours. We've been sitting here for an hour and 40 minutes. It's a lot, and I failed it in chemistry, but I love learning about nuclear radiation because I think it's so crazy that it's like an invisible murderer, basically. And I don't love it, but it's just so fascinating to see humans try to control such an intense element, an
Yeah.
intense energy, because it's really good. It's not good for the environment, but the amount of nuclear energy that it would take to power a city versus the amount of coal and gas energy that it would take to power a city is incomparable. Nuclear energy would set us up for decades, for millennia of energy, if we were able to harness it properly. If we
Yeah.
didn't take shortcuts and use not the right kind of water and, take all the financial shortcuts of not wanting to invest the right amount of money in a reactor. But I digress. Nuclear power is only scary if you do it wrong. But if you do it right, nuclear energy is actually really, really, really good for us. It would be really, really good for us. But everyone got scared away from it because the 3 Mile Island and then Chernobyl happened like in the same time frame. And it
Yeah.
just scared the universe basically, or the world into not wanting to do it. Because another fun fact that I'll talk about when I do the My Chernobyl series is 3 Mile Island happened, I think, right before Chernobyl, or a nuclear meltdown happened by the US right before Chernobyl. And the reason why Chernobyl was handled so poorly when it initially happened is because Russia didn't want to admit that it fucked up like the US.
I love the Cold War.
So that's my story.
Oh,
I gotta breathe now. I haven't breathed in an hour and 40 minutes.
no, you haven't. I think I might do an episode of a dude who was actually poisoned with, I think, plutonium.
Ugh, do it.
He used to be a KGB spy.
I love talking about the KGB, but I can't.
Well, the KGB no longer exists.
To you.
No, it was the Soviet Union.
I know, but the things the KGB did still exist. They just don't go by
Yeah.
the KGB anymore.
The KGB as an entity no longer exists. It exists under a new name.
Yeah.
Just like how the Soviet Union technically never went away. It's just it's still Russia.
Mm-hmm.
But
Neither did the Roman Empire.
Mm.
But anyway, I am gonna play my little Fallout Shelter game. But yeah, I love talking about nuclear energy and nuclear reactors and all that stuff, and I do love me some good Fallout. So Fallout, if you ever want to sponsor us.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Are you ready for my cases?
Bethesda would never sponsor us.
No, they wouldn't.
Yes, I am. After I get my dwellers in the right spot.
Jesus. Okay.
You love me. I literally been playing this game nonstop, guys. I'm not even kidding. My shelter peak. I have nuclear reactors now. It's me. I'm fucking it up. Go ahead, BB.
Okay. So
I have no idea what you're talking about this episode, actually.
I did a bunch of like smaller deep dives, not deep dives, but shallow dives. In a similar vein to the how like last month I did like the Goldilocks robbery things where I just went through like a bunch of different things where people broke into like different people's houses and ended up just hanging out for a while.
Uh-huh.
This month it's animal based.
Oh?
Yes. Namely zoos. I focus heavily on zoos.
Yes.
So my first case involves a penguin named Dirk. Dirk the penguin.
I do love an entity named Dirk. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm a retired homestuck.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
That's the lore drop you get this time, boys. I'm a retired homestuck.
Alrighty.
So
So
I do love a good strider. Anyway.
what? I love you never change. Anyway. So what is one to do on a drunken night out?
Vandalize the Amityville house.
Fair enough. Well, if you're Reese Jones, who's 21, and Carrie Mules, who was 20 at the time of this, you go to SeaWorld. They along
In Florida?
No, Australia. This takes place in Australia.
There's a SeaWorld in Australia?
There's one in almost every major. Like
You almost said city, didn't you?
I almost did. I almost said state. I meant to say country.
I did not know that there was SeaWorlds in other places.
Yeah, there's one in Texas. There's one in California. There's a couple like on the coasts. I think there's one in Spain. Or if it's not technically SeaWorld, but it is
Like it's by the parent company of SeaWorld kind of a thing.
yeah.
I see.
Those kind of things.
Got you.
Like so, Reese and Carrie went along with a friend to a beach party early in the evening of April 14th, 2012.
Okay.
It's the 100th year anniversary of the Titanic, if we're keeping score.
God. I love you never change.
So this third person was unnamed and kind of stayed unnamed for like most of my research. I was like, what the fuck? Who is this man? Nobody knows.
Who is this man?
At this party, the three, quote, consumed a lot of alcohol. Then, according to the Courier Mail, had a, quote, crazy night reminiscent of the movie The Hangover, end quote.
Okay. I see where this is going.
So, according to Jones, he remembered breaking into SeaWorld, setting off a fire extinguisher in the shark tank, then Quote, I can remember swimming with the dolphins, and then I woke up that morning, grabbed my wallet, went to go get changed, opened my cupboard, and there was a bloody penguin in my cupboard, in the walking wardrobe.
Is he saying bloody as a description or bloody as a curse word?
Bloody is a curse word. He's so Rhys Jones and Carrie Mules are actually originally from Wales, and they're on a work visa. They're in Australia on a work visa.
Okay.
So apparently, after his swim with the dolphins, Jones blacked out and animal napped a penguin. This penguin's name is Dirk, and he's a fairy penguin, and he's part of the SeaWorld's breeding program.
He's a fairy?
He's a fairy penguin.
Okay.
Here, let me see if I can find you a picture.
I've never heard of a fairy penguin before.
Yeah, they're tiny.
They're tiny?
They're fucking tiny.
Oh my goodness.
Copy. A fairy penguin.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah.
He looks so metal.
He's tiny. So they're tiny. They're
Very small.
yeah, according to this Aquarium of the Pacific article that pulled up, they're the smallest of any of the world's penguins.
Oh my gosh.
So they're tiny.
Yeah, probably easy to steal then.
Yeah. So so Dirk is this type of penguin, a fairy penguin, and he was
Okay.
part of the SeaWorld's breeding program.
Okay.
He had been born within captivity and was destined to help breed more of his species.
Oh my god.
So that's like his goal in life. He's there to like create more.
Okay.
And when Dirk had been taken by Jones and Mules, he had also been separated from his mate, another fairy penguin named Peaches.
Oh my god.
So these people are just assholes.
Yeah, obviously.
So when they realized that there was now a penguin in their apartment, the two tried to feed Dirk and place the bird in their bathtub full of water to try to care for him as best they could while they tried to figure out what the fuck to do.
Okay.
The two then tried to release the penguin into the canal where they were seen by witnesses. A couple also witnessed the penguin fleeing the water after a near miss with a shark, only to be chased back into the water by a dog. So like the
What the fuck is going on?
they released the penguin like into the canal to try to like set him free, I guess, because they were like,
Yeah.
I can't take this penguin back to fucking SeaWorld.
I'm not a penguin connoisseur.
Like, I don't know what the fuck to do. And then there was like sharks in the water, so the penguin was like, fuck this, I'ma leave.
Love Australia.
But then there was a dog there to chase that was chasing the penguin, and the penguin had to go back into the water
Oh
to
my
run away from the
God.
dog.
Oh my god. So it's not just them, it's just Dirk.
It's just Dirk.
No.
It's just the penguin.
Oh, baby.
Thankfully, though, Dirk was rescued and returned to SeaWorld, where Peaches was very happy to see her mate safe and sound. If not a little traumatized. With the,
No
like-
shit. Imagine that conversation. These fucking weirdos stole me, and then I got chased by a shark, and then a dog.
Yeah.
And she's just like, just say you're cheating on me.
yeah,
Be easier to understand.
Dirk was like, no more outernet. I hate this.
No more outernet.
Yeah. So as far as anyone knows, Dirk actually recovered very well and was probably very popular with the other penguins for a bit. Like,
oh my
he's like, y'all do not know the shit.
craziest. I have the craziest story. Like, you know that he became insufferable.
Yeah, for sure,
Oh my god, he was like his friends would be like, dude, I had the craziest day. And Dirk's like, you had the craziest day?
Were you kidnapped?
Were you kidnapped? Prison and enslaved?
So, Rhys Jones and Carrie Mules were actually in Australia on a work visa and were very understandably feeling the heat with that.
Where are they from?
They're from Wales, which is in the United Kingdom.
Hey,
They're
it's not
Welsh.
Americans.
Yeah, they're Welsh.
God damn it.
So they could have been sent back early, and that was a circumstance they were kind of desperate to avoid. So they each wrote an apology letter to SeaWorld explaining what actually happened. Now, this dude's last
How
name...
do you happen to drunkenly break into SeaWorld?
I mean, do you remember the documentary Blackfish?
Oh yeah, fair point. Fair point.
That homeless dude like broke in and decided to go swimming naked with the orcas?
Fair point. Fair point. Fair point.
Yeah.
You got me there.
So I am so sorry, but I could... It had... This man's last name is very unfortunate. So
do tell me.
their lawyer also appealed to Magistrate Brian Cucks.
Shut the fuck up. His name is not Cucks.
Kucks.
Oh my god.
I am so sorry. I swear I'm an adult.
Brian
Cucks.
Cucks. Oh my god. Yes, he does. Good for him.
So so their lawyer so their lawyer appeals to Magistrate Cucks. Stating that his clients deeply regretted their actions. And while it was an extremely stupid move to make,
Yeah.
Magistrate Cucks agreed to take an appeal where no criminal charges were pressed against the two men, but instead they had to pay $1,000 each, and they were also allowed to stay within the country for the remainder of their visas.
Okay.
Cucks said, quote, "You could have found yourself in the morgue if you'd gone into the wrong enclosure. Perhaps next time you are at a party, you will consider drinking a little less vodka," end quote.
Thank you, Mr. Cucks.
Magistrate Cucks to you.
Thank you, Magistrate Cucks.
However, all actions have consequences even when the courts decide to be lenient. The two had to move from the very fun coastal town where they had been living to a backwater town, and even then the two are consistently, getting evicted from apartments and losing contacts for their business. Quote, "We said we were sorry, and a majority of people had said, 'Hands up, that was a crazy night, guys,'" Carrie said. "But people look at us a bit different. We were upstanding and had a really good reputation, and we tried hard to keep the whole thing under wraps, but the media completely exposed us. It's just been hectic. I know people laugh at it at home, but I'm feeling the rough end of the stick over here," end quote. "Well, maybe you shouldn't have broken to SeaWorld."
Dude, you stole a fucking penguin. Yeah, everyone's gonna look at you a little weird. You stole a fucking penguin.
Okay. My next thing is
Oh no.
the next section of my notes is titled "Going to Go See a Tiger."
Oh no.
So we're jumping back to the United States,
How great.
specifically Boston, Massachusetts,
Massachusetts?
Massachusetts in February of
How do you pronounce
2022.
it? I say Massachusetts.
Massachusetts?
Say Massachusetts.
Massachusetts?
He does.
Anyway. God damn it.
Sorry.
Anyway, so we're in the United States, specifically Boston, Massachusetts, in February of 2022. Now, Matthew Abraham, a 24-year-old student from Worcester?
Worcester? That is the widest name I've ever heard in my life.
No. Worcester.
Worcester.
There's no H.
Worcester?
Worcester, maybe? I think. Anyway.
Worcester.
Worcestershire sauce. Anyway, so Worcester, Massachusetts, was arrested on
Abraham what?
Matthew Abraham.
Matthew Abraham. Dude, that is the widest name I've ever heard in my life.
Also most biblical.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he was arrested on...
And also with you.
Can I finish? I love you. But please. Anyway, he was arrested on February 21st, 2022, after breaking into the Franklin Park Zoo on charges of trespassing and disorderly conduct. Matthew was able to make it to the area behind the tiger's enclosures after walking...
The tiger?
The tiger. The tiger. I can't English. Leave me alone. He was able to make it to the area behind the tiger's enclosure after walking right on in, ignoring the warning signs, and just not paying.
Okay.
He just walked in. Matthew was a biology student at the time and seemingly hyper focused on the tiger named Anala for a while, saying, quote, "I was there as a spectator of the zoo," as he said to News Center 5. What happened?
She knocked something over because I think she sees something she wants to eat.
Interesting. I hope it's not me.
It's outside.
Quote, "I didn't mean to harm anyone. I wasn't looking to harm the tiger. I wasn't looking to harm myself neither. My plan was to just go see what is a tiger. How would a tiger react to a human being? They say the soul is visible through the eye, he said of the tiger's eye.
Oh my
They
god.
say the eye of the tiger is the most dangerous thing you will ever see in your whole life. End quote. Allegedly, Matthew was unaware that the zoo charged admission during the winter months, just walking on through the gates without paying before the zoo even actually opened.
I feel like him not paying is like the least of our concerns right now.
Yeah, he was released on a $40 bail.
$40 for walking into a tiger's cage?
He didn't get into the enclosure. He got to the area right behind the enclosure before he was finally stopped.
I hope he was given a psych eval.
Honestly, I hope so too. I couldn't find anything beyond this. So, I don't know what happened there.
Well, if we get a listener from Massachusetts,
Can you let us know?
let us know.
Please. Okay. My next section. It's called Giraffe Attack.
No, I hate giraffes, fun fact.
Anyway. Oh, I'm sorry.
Those are the worst animals in my opinion. They just freak me out.
Honestly, it was at this point when I was doing my research that I wrote, why can't people just leave the fucking animals alone? I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
I mean, fair enough.
Anyway, so we're jumping across the pond to Hampshire, England in February of 2021. During a period of lockdown in England, Bradley Green, who's 24, and Nathan Daniels, 21, decided it would be a great idea to break into the Marwell Zoo on February 15th, 2021.
Okay.
Once inside, Bradley broke into the giraffe enclosure, but also attempted to break into the penguin and tiger enclosures.
Oh my god.
While the giraffes suffered the most, all animals involved suffered some sort of trauma from the event. Now, one of the giraffes, named Ursula, actually ended up suffering from severe gashes on her legs and an injury to her neck after Bradley threw a bucket and a bottle of disinfectant at the animal. So the bottle struck Ursula in the neck, and in her distress, she actually ended up injuring her legs on the door that the tube broke into her enclosure through.
Yeah, giraffes are very skittish creatures.
They are. In addition, those penguins I mentioned earlier,
Uh-huh.
they displayed, quote, behavior consistent with anxiety and distress from being disturbed, end quote. Which, you know what? Me too.
Poor babies.
I know. The tiger enclosure was discovered to have sticks, stones, and a plastic bottle in it thrown in by Bradley and Nathan. Now, how did they get caught? Was it through hard investigative work?
They fell asleep in the enclosure.
No, I wish that
It was during daytime.
No.
They posted about it on Facebook.
Close.
They posted about it on social media.
Yes.
To Instagram?
No.
Where?
They recorded themselves and posted these videos on Snapchat.
Oh my god.
Where a friend saw these videos, got worried, and reported it to the authorities.
Yeah, no shit. Good friend.
Yeah. Now, Bradley and Nathan were arrested on charges of causing unnecessary suffering to a protected animal, damaging the giraffe. Damaging the giraffe enclosure, damaging the penguin enclosure, and a fence surrounding the zoo after the duo quite literally cut a hole into the fence surrounding the zoo to gain entry.
Jesus Christ.
The duo pled guilty to all charges and were sentenced to a 12-month community order with 120 hours of unpaid work and ordered to pay £750 compensation each to the zoo. So, they had to do community service event, essentially.
Yeah, basically.
Bradley's attorney blamed his actions on his ADHD and desire for Ursula's attention, while Nathan's attorney said, quote, the behavior showed a marked lack of maturity on his behalf. So, like, Bradley's attorney went, nah, man, he just has ADHD. That's why you did it.
Oh my god.
Now, are you ready for the title of my next section?
Not really, no.
Pokemon Go to the Zoo.
Shut up.
This is in the height of the Pokemon
Shut
Go.
Up.
No.
Oh no.
So, in 2016, there was a mobile game that took the world by storm. While it has mostly dropped off the face of the earth, except for the most ardent players or the people who randomly remember that the game even exists, then jump back on it for like 2 weeks and then forget about it.
That's me.
That's me.
And that's you. But also, I went to Japan and I have some Pokemon from Japan. And some people, when I came back, were like, can I trade you? And I'm like, yeah, sure. But I have the most basic shit you'll find.
Yep. So, yeah, no, Pokemon Go was fucking everywhere. It still is, but not to the extent that it was. Now, I do vaguely remember this case whenever it actually happened, but to be honest, so much crazy shit went on during the heyday of this game, and I might honestly do an episode on that just talks about these
Crazy
cases.
shit that happened with Pokemon Go.
Yeah, no, because people found like a dead body.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember downloading it. It like got really popular when summer, like when I went up to the mountains, up to Pigeon Forge, and I caught like everything along that Pigeon, like, is it Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge? That street, that road.
It depends, because Gatlinburg is a town that's close to Pigeon Forge, but Pigeon Forge has
Is that tourist area?
yeah.
Yeah, that whole main road with Pigeon Forge. I caught fucking everything over there.
Yikes.
We're from the south.
Yeah, we are. We don't live there anymore, but we are.
We're from the south.
Okay. So, honestly, I might do like an episode that just talks about Pokemon Go in the future.
Yeah.
And that's going to be like, oh, Psychos is not doing great. Okay. So, the Mashable opens up an article written about this case the day it happened as, quote, listen, we need to hop into the zoo full of captured real-life animals so that we can capture some more virtual animals for ourselves, end quote.
Makes sense.
And I read that and I have never been the same since. Because I was like, this is excellent writing. Let's go.
Amazing.
At approximately 2:30 a.m. on July 14th, 2016, Robin Bartholomew, who is 25 years old, and Adrian Crawford, who were 26, broke into the Toledo Zoo in Ohio, climbing the fence to do so. The two were spotted on the security cameras and detained by the tiger exhibit until police arrived and arrested them on trespassing charges. Quote, I was just hanging out with my friend and we were playing Pokemon Go, Robin Bartholomew told WTOL. We were just like, hey, I got a crazy idea. Let's just jump the fence, which is batshit to me. Like, that's just batshit. She continues, it wasn't the most responsible thing, but hey, gotta catch them all, end quote.
That's so stupid. I love it. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. After realizing that she could be facing a whopping 30 to 180 days in prison for her poke collecting endeavors,
Oof.
she then released a statement stating that, quote, it doesn't matter if it's a Charizard, don't break into people's property to catch it.
Oh my
End
god.
quote. Both Bartholomew and Crawford pleaded not guilty. However, on July 10th, 6 days before this event, Robin was very active on the Book of Faces, responding to a post by a friend who initially said, quote, there is a group of idiots outside my house trying to get into my backyard because apparently there's a scyther in my backyard.
My backyard.
Fucking Pokemon Go.
My backyard.
End quote. Robin responded with this statement that would foreshadow her future crime. Quote, I am not above breaking and entering for a Pokemon. End quote. Which is so fucking stupid.
I am going to commit various war crimes.
I have thought about that post so fucking
and then
much.
proceeds to commit
various war crimes.
That's awesome.
According to the Global News, the zoo, quote, the zoo said it welcomed Pokemon Go players, but urged them to respect the rules and general safety protocols associated with the park, end quote. And then, quote, this is directly from the zoo itself. Obviously, we welcome guests to attend the zoo, and if they're playing Pokemon, that's fine with us as well, said Shayla Bell Moriarty, Director of Communications at the Toledo Zoo. Now, I don't know about you, but I would, if I had the ability to do some dumb shit like that during Pokemon Go, my ass would have done it.
Yep.
Like, for sure. Now, we are at my last case. And are you ready for the title of this?
Yes.
A cat needs a friend.
Wait. Wait a minute. I was like, that's so cute. Wait, and then I remembered what the fuck we're talking about.
So, for our last case, we head to St. Petersburg, Russia.
St. Petersburg. I'm back in the building again.
Yeah, where a human actually isn't the one who decided to break and enter a zoo.
Okay.
So back in 2014, a calico kitten was roaming the streets of St. Petersburg without a mother, without a home, and without food.
Baby.
When suddenly, this kitten was drawn into drawn in by the scent of food into the St. Petersburg Zoo, making her way into the zoo all the way to the lynx enclosure.
Oh no! Do you know what a lynx is? Have you seen a lynx?
Yeah.
They're my favorite
They
big
have
cat.
Oh god, I need to see if I can find the pictures because there were pictures of these two together.
My pet in World of Warcraft is a lynx.
I love that for you. No, I need to see if I can find these pictures because there are pictures of these two together. It's so cute. Now the lynx has the same coloring as the kitten, and according to the Animal Channel, thinks, quote, "That's my mom."
Oh my god!
So without hesitation, she makes her way into the lynx and with confidence snuggles up in her fur.
Oh my god!
When first discovered, the zoo employees were rather nervous because they thought the lynx would eat the kitten. But in a very adorable turn of events, instead of eating the kitten, the lynx accepted her fate. She was a mom now, and she was going to take care of the kitten.
Shut up!
When the zoo employees noticed that the lynx was extremely protective of the kitten, they decided to adopt the kitten and care for the kitten alongside the lynx. There are videos of the two together, and oh my god, it's the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen.
Oh my goodness!
Like, I swear to god, it's so fucking cute.
Yeah. Oh my god.
To this day, they're still spending time with each other and completely bonded. They're also a very, very popular sight at the St. Petersburg Zoo. According to Love Meow, quote, "The lynx needs the kitten as much as the kitten needs the lynx." End
Oh
quote.
my gosh, that's so cute.
It's so fucking cute. I'm gonna see if I can find some photos because I'm done with my cases.
God.
But I need to like.
That's so cute.
It is so adorable. Lynx and cat, 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 lynx and cat. No, I just want to.
Oh my god, that is so cute. Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
That is so cute.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Like, they eat together, they do everything together. It's so
So
fucking cute. And that's what I wanted to end like my segment on, because like this is like the cutest fucking story.
That's so cute. I love it. I really do. That's awesome. Thanks for the stories.
Yeah. Did you like them?
I love them. That was very cute.
Yeah, I knew that because I do have 2 serious topics this month, and they're both kind of heavy. And I mean, the other lighthearted part of this month does involve something fairly heavy, but I'm actually going to cover that part of it in a later episode, because I want to be able to go into detail and like all the different theories with that. So I'm just going to be focusing on one part of it.
My story, all of my stories this month are not great, but they're not terrible.
I mean, your last thing is going to be fairly
Oh my
interesting.
god, my last episode for this month, I'm so stupid excited about. I'm so stupid excited that I get to talk about one of my favorite things on the face of the fucking planet. They're my birthday week.
Happy birthday.
Kidding me? That's so exciting. But oh, it's so exciting. I'm so excited to talk about that. It's not a great situation. Like, your case sucks.
My case is awful, but nobody dies.
But it's a joint case. It's a joint story. And I'm so excited to talk about it. I'm so excited to start researching this. I'm so jazzed.
Alrighty, I think
that's it.
I think we're good. Oh my gosh, this is a short episode.
It is a very short episode, but you know what? I think it was happy, and I think we needed it given just how shitty and chaotic this week has been for us, guys.
Yeah, and honestly, I think you guys needed it too, at least on my end, because I know I haven't been kind to anybody.
Nope, not at all.
I love you.
Love you too.
You all missed the death glare I got.
Love you. I'm hungry.
I am too.
There's no food upstairs.
Oh well. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, stay safe, guys. Keep learning. Have a good night.
I don't have anyone to say fuck off to today.
You can always resort to your normal.
Fuck Oppenheimer.
There you go.
That actually fit, though.
It fit.
Fuck Oppenheimer.
Okay. Good night.
Bye.